Welcome to Maelstrom Radio presents Here With Me, a series about the stories people want to share about their journeys with mental illness, trauma, and negative thoughts. We are not professionals, nor are we a substitute for their professional diagnosis or treatments. Please enjoy Here With Me. With me today, I have Arsian, who's a friend of mine who wants to discuss some of her life experiences and everything that she deals with. And I want to welcome Arsian. Hi, Arsian.
Hi, great to be here.
Yeah. So,
well, comparatively.
Yeah.
Since I'm talking about all of this horrible nonsense, so.
Ultimately, I think it'll be good.
Probably be for the best.
Yeah. So, what you've always kind of alluded to, much like me, like we both, not great lives. So, what exactly? I mean, I don't know if you want to go into complete detail, but like, what sort of crap did you deal with?
No, I'm entirely willing to talk about it. I had two working parents who tried very hard, but were not there quite a lot of the time. And growing up, mentally ill in the early 90s was not exactly a fun experience. I also have a brother on the autism spectrum, so he had his own needs. And while, I don't blame my parents for putting that as priority over me a lot of the time, because he really did need the extra help dealing with the Department of Education, getting aids and whatnot. I was a pretty awful, unmanageable kid. I was very difficult to raise. My parents didn't know what they were doing. I was actually pretty violent a lot of the time. I got suspended for fighting a lot just because I did not know what was going on in my head or how to handle it. And my mother deals with and has always dealt with her own personal issues. She had a fairly broken family growing up. Early divorce, messy divorce, 4 other siblings with various problems. My grandfather was, textbook narcissist, basically, and that really affected his kids. And in turn, that really affected me because my mother internalized all of that. So we had a very rough relationship growing up, and that has been a thing up until, I don't know, the last year or two ago, because we're old and tired, and we just don't want to fight anymore. But basically, I did not have the resources or the stable home environment to really deal with what was happening to me for a very long time. And it sucked. It really, really sucked. So, I had my brain is not fucking working, plus the whole emotional and verbal abuse component. It was a bad time for basically everybody involved, even on the periphery.
I get that.
Yeah.
I really do. I think so far you share almost mirroring my story.
And I just want to state for the record that, contrary to some people's belief, money does not insulate you from any of that.
It doesn't.
No, because my family has felt fairly well off, but we weren't always. And things did not get better once we were more financially stable. If anything, they got worse. So, yeah, money does not buy you psychological stability, unfortunately, which is why I'm, 27 and on 7 different meds.
Money does not buy happiness, clearly. It does not.
I mean, it has diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But, yeah, bad upbringing.
Same. My brother's not on the autism spectrum, but he did have a learning disorder. He had ADD, and my parents gave him more attention. And my parents also constantly fought to try to save their marriage. So for me, I didn't get into fights. I was a very patient, but I was also very reserved, and I just held everything in because I was very I was never a dumb kid. Like at 8 years old, it was like, mom, dad fight. I know what's going on. So I just read or played video games and kept to myself and never, asked for attention. I just let them give it to themselves or my brother. So I completely get that. And we're not too far away in age. So, I completely understand. Like,
no, I think you're a few years older.
I'm a few years older, but still, like in the 90s, like growing up, having a broken home life, not knowing how to deal with it.
Basically, yes. We do differ in one respect, I think, and, it's personality, honestly. I was really aggressive and confrontational for a long time, so when I was pushed to do things, I would push back, and it never ended well. So you sat and read, and I fought. And it made things worse, so don't do that, kids. Do not be me.
On the flip side of things, when I got older, as I was constantly telling myself, I'm not going to be my dad, I'm not going to be my dad, I'm not going to be my dad, I became my dad. Like, and like I had this 10-year gap of pushing.
God, same. It was always, I'm never going to be my mother. I'm never going to be my mother. She's fucking awful and I fucking despise her. For the record, I don't. She's just a very flawed person who was dealing with a lot of shit, much like me, but it was always, I am never going to become my mother. And then, she's like, call me ASAP via text. And I pick up and I'm like, is somebody dead? So, yeah, I'm becoming my mother. Yeah.
It caused me to, what happened was eventually I became desensitized of not having anybody around to give me any sort of family love. And I was abandoned so many times that I just, I'm going to be abandoned. I don't deserve love. Let's just eject people out of my life. So anytime somebody got close to me or was getting close to me, or even in my relationships, if I ended up dating somebody, like eventually I would figure out like how to self-sabotage the relationship. Or I would find people who were needing of me. Like I felt like need was love instead of love. Like, oh, I need you in my life. Okay, no problem. I can be there. And need replaced what love was. And
yes, clearly this is a stable relationship.
Yeah, it was. None of them were.
I ruined both of my past relationships and a lot of friendships beside, because I have a tendency to, when really stressed and anxious, get so paranoid to the point where I'm detached from reality. And it's just like, all of you are talking behind my back. All of you hate me and are plotting against me. None of you will fucking admit it because all of you are fucking lying to my face because none of you have the spine to fucking say anything about it. And then I just start lashing out at people who are trying to help me, and it does not. I've hurt a lot of people that way, and I really don't want to be that person anymore. So that's basically what I've been dealing with, mostly mental health-wise for the last few years. Just not fucking hurting people. Like, the emotionally toxic friend that everybody warns you about, the manipulative abuser asshole. I was that person for a very long time. The difference is I'm just aware of it and trying not to do that because it's a shitty goddamn thing to do, and it's a shitty kind of person to be.
You're preaching.
So, basically, TLDR, I have to fight not to be the asshole.
It is.
Which it sounds self-pitying, but
it's hard.
It's true. It's hard.
It's a hard fight. Like my therapist has me do like a form of cognitive, like something to do, like trying to start breathing and just trying to pay attention to my body and my visual, my sense of smell.
Mindfulness.
Yes, and split my mind into those things so I can start realizing and get back in touch with my body so I can feel how to resonate with myself and then also try to resonate with others. So that is wild because she was like, it's harder to do when you're walking. But knowing me, I was like, no, I got to fire my belly. I had my talk with my dad. We got past that. We diminished my dad issues. I'm raging. I'm going to do it. I started doing
you did mention that you'd spoken with him recently.
Yeah, and I did. We're on an undisclosed server. I'm trying to keep parts of it.
No, that's fine.
We sat down and chatted, and he owned everything. So when I went back to therapy, and she didn't think I was going to do that quickly. She thought maybe it was going to be like 2 months out, 3 months out, and she was shocked. Like, she grabbed tissues and started crying herself because the day she suggested I talk to my father, I told her I wanted to banish the darkness in my life, and her tears, like, she welled up. And then when I came back, I said I talked to my dad, and she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I actually talked to my dad, and he owned everything. And she's like, you're kidding. I explained everything he said, and she grabbed tissues and gave them to herself. she didn't expect.
Oh wow.
She didn't expect that, and I started tearing up myself, and rightfully so, because it's been so many years.
It's been a struggle. Yeah.
And my dad even told me, he's like, that darkness in you, son, he's like, everything that you've been about, everything, the getting rid of people out of your life, he's like, that's me, that's not you. He's like, and he felt terrible. Like, he even told me, he's like, I'm so sorry that's what I did to you, because you lost many years and probably many great people in your life, and it was so hard to hear, but so cathartic to hear at the same time, because he was right. I did hurt and get rid of some amazing people in my life, and it was nice to hear that he's like, that's my fault. Like, ultimately it was his fault. Like, I did the actions, I carry it with me as why I'm not gonna be that person ever again. But
right, yeah,
man, it was such a hard hitting, like, it like punched me in the chest.
Fucking difficult. Yeah,
so hard. So hard.
I had a similar conversation with my mother, so I do know that feeling. All I ever wanted to hear from her for years was, yeah, I was a bad parent. There were things that I absolutely should have done differently. I didn't know. I fucked up. I'm sorry. And yeah, it was fucking brutal, but fucking cathartic. So I do know that feel. And I'm really glad that it went well, and that he, owned up to it, as it were, and that you guys can hopefully move forward from here towards something better.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I think, as I move forward, I do want to have a relationship with him, because he's changed. He honestly has changed a lot, and
yeah,
it is crazy to think. It is, and I'm glad you wanted to have this talk, because we, like I said, it's almost mirroring in a lot of aspects. So it's
yeah, we do.
I'm glad that
parallel.
We can bounce off each other with this.
It's like, hey, let's talk about our respective parent issues. Yeah, no, we do have a lot of similar background in some ways.
Yes, even down to the states and whatnot.
Can I just say, fuck Florida? I'm sorry. I hated living there.
I mean, my stance.
Yes, I do.
So, yeah. So it's not easy, and it's hard, because, and tell me if I'm wrong, but there's always like this little part of you, right? There's like this small voice, or this small, like, deep down in you, that's like, you shouldn't be doing this. And for me, I tried to battle it. Like, I think there was times where I was trying to, like recently I hurt somebody, and they were the impetus why I went there. And
yeah, it's like, why are you fucking doing this? You're never going to change.
And it was always like, this isn't normal. Like, but my desensitization, I was like, this is my normal, but the little voice is like, what you're doing isn't normal.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think I may be thinking of, a slightly different internal monologue. Mine is a bit more, negative, I guess.
I mean,
it's like, why are you bothering trying to be a better person? Because, this is part of your core personality.
that was,
you are not going to succeed with this, but I have to try.
That was the bully voice. That was the other voice in my head. It's like, you're an asshole. Be an asshole. And
it's like, everybody hates you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you don't need love. You don't deserve, like, get that out of here. So
it's like, you're a horrible fucking human being. Don't bother with this. Everybody will just rightfully despise you anyway. Which is completely not true, and just absolutely ridiculous catastrophizing that I have to arrest.
Right?
Yeah, it's absurd that it's still there.
And like, I wake up and every day I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to the gym. Like, I go Monday, Wednesday, like, I go to the gym now. I'm on my diet. Like, I'm trying to make all these positive changes, so I consistently have, like, focus and light and keep telling myself like I deserve people. I deserve the people who are coming to do these episodes with me and the people I surround myself with, and I deserve all of them. And
you do. Definitely.
Thank you. and it's amazing that we can look back, like I can look back and say, God, I was a dick, but then at the same time turn around and look forward and say, but there's so much more for me on the horizon that I gotta keep going that way.
Yeah.
And
like I was terrible, but I've gotten better, and there's so many other opportunities stretching out ahead of me. Like, shit, how can I not continue to try?
Exactly. And
yeah.
It feels so good, like when you wake up and you're like, all right, I'm gonna try a little bit more, like not even like I'm gonna do all these amazing grand things, like it's, you know, baby steps, but those baby steps mean so much to somebody like us where it's,
yeah.
It's like, hey, I got out of bed today.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not quite there yet. It's, oh, I'm awake, I'm still alive, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lady I used to work with who, her husband had a stroke and he was hospitalized and then he was placed into a care clinic. Then she had a stroke 3 months later. And she still had like 6 years from retirement, but she still came into work. She couldn't use her the left side of her body, but she still came into work. She could use her right hand, and she's like, I'm going to use this mouse. I did all the paperwork part of the job, and she handled the mouse. And she used to tell me, and most positive woman I've ever met in my life. And I think I blocked her out, and I used to not when I was younger. I used to not, but I blocked her out at some point, and I thought about her the other day because she used to tell me, she's like, no matter how hard your day is, as long as you're 6 feet above ground, it's a good damn day. And I started telling myself that again because she wasn't wrong.
No, she's not. It's like, you're not dead. It's not as bad as it could be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we only have so much, we have finite time on this little blue marble in the speck of a universe that we're in. And I want to try to spend...
Indeed, we do. Extremely finite.
And I want to spend as much time as I can, as possible, happy and surrounding myself with, amazing people.
Yeah. Make the fucking most of it.
Yeah. Now,
most of it. Wow. What is single language? Make the fucking most of it, no questions asked.
Now, do you, going back on the, with
yes,
your relationships and going to people, do you feel that there's ever been a moment where, have you, for me, mine was recently, within the last few months, have you ever, it's a question I've asked a few people because it's something I'm going, just so people know, I don't record these in order. So,
no, it's fine.
I will be talking about it on my episode, is that the concept of, going back and trying to make amends with people.
I would if I could, but with, honestly, most of these people that I've hurt this badly, they've completely cut me out of their lives, and quite frankly, I don't blame them for doing that, for, what I was like and who I was at the time. So, a lot of the time, it's out of the realm of possibility, but, like I said, I'm trying to, have a healthier relationship with my mother. I made up with my last ex. We're still good friends. So in some cases, I do like to make amends if possible. But in my particular situation, that's not really an option for the majority of the time. Which is unfortunate, but, I get it.
Yeah. I think...
If I'd spoken to people like that, I wouldn't want me back in my life either.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's going to be the hardest bullet to bite. So and it's maybe not.
There are some fuck ups that you cannot fix. Yeah,
exactly. you know, it's my thought process is all I can do is give it a shot. You know, all I can do is lay the cards on the table and say, listen, was that person me in physical form? Yes. In mental form? Not at all. Do I believe that the person you're talking to right now is much more stable and in a better place? Yes. And that's the person I would want you to get to know. And that's all I can really say to these people. And am I going to go back like 10 years and find people? No, I'm not going to like try to dig that far back. I've made my bed.
Yeah, this isn't My Name is Earl or anything.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to do like my 99.
Yeah. God, no, me neither.
But you know, if it was recent, I would say within the last few months, 6-7 months, I probably could reach out to those people and say, hey, listen, like I am truly sorry. And see if I can make amends for those things. And
yeah, all you can do is try.
You know, it's just.
And if they're unwilling or can't come to the table for the sake of their own well-being, then you did try, and you did sincerely try.
Yeah, and I think that's like even with like my dad. I had a friend say, you know, admit that he would like to, seeing that it worked for me and my father, that he's like, maybe there's hope for him and his parents, and it would be amazing to see that even if I inspired one person, maybe even like through the show, but even just outside of just having a chat, to go out there and attempt to make that connection. Like you're working on your relationship with your mother, I'm working on my relationship with my father. And are they, you know, for me, it's like I didn't want, you and I have both said it, like we don't want to hurt people anymore, and we realize that like that stems from our parents, and it sucks so much.
Oh my God, it absolutely sucks. Like my mother is still, well, not exactly the most popular member of the family, but she's trying.
You know,
so I will give her credit for that, for you know, doing the same thing as I am and trying to be better.
Yeah. And my dad, like my stepmom is a wonder, and made my dad go get therapy, not only to save their marriage, and it was a fresh marriage, like they were only married 2 years, but also to help him. And you know, I lost really touch with like if you see my texts with my dad over the years, like it was like Happy New Year, and then months without something, and like the next major holiday, or like, hey, happy birthday, son, hey, thanks, that, hey, happy father, like that was it. Like I'd give him the least amount of effort.
God.
But at the same time, and then on the flip side, I was putting the most amount of effort to making sure that nobody came into my life. And there was a solid few years where I filled myself with just doing podcasting and doing other stuff like that to have connections with people, but at such an arm's length that I could remove myself from it at any time. And
yeah, you weren't inextricably linked interpersonally.
Nope. And
it was a defense mechanism.
Oh, it sure was. Was.
I get it.
And even even though like my first podcast was like Evercast, Maelstrom Radio came along, and Shin said yes, and I adore Shin, like, but Shin and I almost were like, two kind of, I don't want to say broken, but two not well adjusted peas in a pod. and it almost seemed like I could lean on him. But you know, I fought with him, and he's put up with my bullshit many a times, and more so I think than anybody should have. But I
know that feeling. Yeah,
I give him so much credit, because he's always been, and I told him this last night in our 4-hour conversation, that he's always been the person that needed to tell me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And he even said, he's like, I've never been tactful. He's like, and honestly, I need that. Like, I need just honesty. I just needed someone to always be honest with me, regardless if it was going to be.
Sometimes you just need somebody to tell you that you're being a fucking asshole and you need to stop.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just me.
No, I need that. I need that.
Yeah, me. Well, me too, obviously.
And, I adore him. Like, I have such a brotherly love for him. Like, I tell him, like one of the few people that I say, like, and honestly, he was probably one of the first people that I realized, like, I want to keep in my life, because I love him like a brother, and I want to have that, like, brotherly relationship with him. It's not even just like he's my co-host and he's my best friend and he's my business partner. He's more than that. He's the guy at my sounding board a lot of the times, and he's there. He always picked up the flag. If I had a shit weekend or month or whatever, he would pick up the flag and make sure he was handling all the shit for the show. And like, it was never quite like, he never even asked the question or said, hey, I can't do it. He would just do it. He would take over, like, running the FC, and he would do so much, and it was he never missed a beat. And
honestly, he sounds like a really great guy, and I'm really glad that you two have that kind of relationship.
I am extremely lucky. I'm extremely lucky. And still to this day, like, even like with my other friend, he's telling me, he's like, you've done a lot of work. And for me, he's like, we haven't talked in 2 months, so some of the changes I see right away. For them, they talk to you every single day, so they may not see those changes. He's like, only time can tell. But he's like, you're making them. He's like, it is visible. Like, your tone has changed. You're not really snapping at, like, you don't sound as aggressive in your tone. You're like, you seem to be coming to conversations with much more caring and openness than prior. And he's like, and which is how I was on my show, which is an interesting thing for me, I guess, because it's how I presented Flatus as, like, the showman. And I said, I want, there's both sides to Flatus. Like, there was the asshole jokester, and then, like, the person who started changing and say, hey, let's talk to people in the Final Fantasy 14 community about the cool shit they're doing. He's like, essentially, he's like, you're that person. And he's like, if you're that person all the time, he's like, people would love you. He's like, because he's like, how can you not? He's like, you made people feel comfortable, and they talked about everything. He's like, he's like, when we did the LGBTQ plus episode, he's like, you nailed it. Like, you asked great questions. They felt, he's like, you made interviews feel like people knew you for years, and they were just at a bar having conversation. He's like, I still don't know how you do it, but you do it so well.
You got a gift, man. No, seriously.
Thank you. And I'm glad to be stepping back from that name and accepting who I am as a person. And I know, I think part of it is, I think you are as well, is starting to step into who you really are, because neither of us are really bad. We did bad things. Yes. I don't think we're bad people. So, I mean, I could be wrong.
No, but it's difficult to believe that I'm not some days, but, I'm probably not inherently terrible. And you definitely aren't.
So, I mean, we've made, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's all
it is,
good.
Yeah.
Do you feel going forward, and maybe you're like me, like, I've been single for a very long time out of choice. A lot of it was out of choice. Like, I've been single now for, I want to say, going on like 8-9 years. Like, it's been a while. And not saying I'm like ready to jump back in that old fish in the sea game, but I found that it was easier for me to not hurt somebody and then also keep myself away from people. Do you feel the same? Like, I don't know your romantic situation, but do you also?
I do, yeah. I've been single for about 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Partially because I was trying to pick my life back up together from the absolute shitfest it had become and that I had let it become. And part of it was, oh God, I'm really not that desirable. And also in the past, I've proven to be kind of a terrible partner. So maybe this is not something I should be doing right now.
Yeah.
So, dipping my feet back in, or the concept of that has been really intimidating.
It is. It's super intimidating. And like, I don't want to get like super deep into like my friend and what was going on, but I may have used dipping my feet back in as a mechanism to eject her out of my life. And that sucks. 'Cause I'm like, that is.
I'm sorry to hear that. I really am.
Yeah. And I was like, and at the end of the day, when I like came to my realization and I got my help, I was like, I just wanted a friend. And I may not have that, and that bites so much. Because, you know, at the end of the day, companionship is a lovely thing, especially when you
can't do it alone.
Yeah. And it sucks not being able to like have. I mean, can it happen again? Absolutely. Can it be somebody different? Absolutely. Like I'm not trying to put all my eggs in one basket. It's just when you see somebody that made so much of an effort and put up with so much of your bullshit for so long. I'm like,
it's like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. It's wild times. And you know, I took a break from the game and I came back. And now, you know, and I'm back, and it's I think weird for them. And they mentioned there was like tension and stuff. And then like they've always told me like, well, you know, I get over things. It's water under the bridge. You know, we'll still be friends. But I think the fact that there's tension and weirdness that there is, I don't care how
there is strain there.
Yeah, I don't care how strong a person is or says there is. Like if you hurt somebody, you hurt somebody, and they can hide it well, but they can't hide it that well.
No, it stays.
Yeah, and it's kind of like they always kind of have you that picture of you in their head, like this could change. Like he says he's this, but how do I know? Is he? You know, how do I know that they've changed? How do they prove it?
How do I know that they're not going to rip my head off?
Yeah.
On the wrong day.
Yep.
Yeah, it took about 2 years for me and my ex to start to be on speaking terms again. So, yeah, I get you.
Keep hope alive.
No, I mean, she's very happy with her current partners, and I'm happy for her.
That's good.
But it took a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm extremely happy that you could, you know, I used to, it's so weird. I used to think, and, you know, throw my hat in the quote book, I guess, but like I used to think, you know, may the bridges I burn light the path, or whatever the case is, and like that is the wrong way to think. Like, do not burn.
Absolutely.
Like,
it's like, fuck all of you. I don't need you. I'll burn this bridge. I'll burn that bridge. I'll burn all the fucking bridges in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not healthy at all.
No.
Not for you, not for anybody else.
Yeah. You know, and it's so funny because you and I, when we first kind of like were introduced to each other, you know, I think I was pretty much on I don't know what state I was in mentally, but I knew I was like, I instantly was drawn to you as a person, and I was like Arsian and I, like, there's something here, like, and it's a weird, like I connect with this person, and then like,
it's like, I get you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Arsian's the type of person I just want to like chill with, and like not even like, I'm not a big fan of the beach, but like just hang out someplace, like woods, I don't know, tree stump someplace, and just be like,
dude, I don't fucking like the beach either, so
yeah,
sounds great.
Yeah. And listen to Colorado.
Sit in the bar somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been to Colorado. There's an excuse to visit.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it is a you know, it's so weird that like, and now having this talk, it's more of that connection now. It's like, well, it goes deeper than like both, you know, Florida, Guar, like the little things were like,
yeah,
oh yeah, that's
it's
cool.
like, fuck, why don't I talk to you more often?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like, and by the way, I'm probably going to make that a thing. We are going to talk more often. So.
No, dude, I'm totally fine with that. Like, yeah. I'm a fucking recluse at the moment due to work, so please bother me.
No problem. I will do that. So, you know, it's been a wild trip. Now, is there at any point in time, and I think maybe the listeners may want to know this from both, maybe even both of us, like, has there been any point in time where through the years where you tried to get help and then stepped away from it, like like you've attempted to go to therapy or attempted to go get the help you needed and then went for like a little bit and then stopped?
Yes. Yeah. Going into college, actually. Like, I got into a good school. I was doing well. I'm like, I don't need my meds. I don't need my therapy. I'm in a great place. I can totally handle this. Yeah, spoilers, fucking textbook. I could not handle it. I had a full-on nervous breakdown and dropped out at the end of freshman year because I was failing out of everything and also a depressed mess.
Yeah, have you gone back to college?
And then I bummed around my parents' house for 2 months in my pajamas because I could barely get out of bed. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I couldn't do it.
I'm three credits away from my AA.
Oh, congrats.
No, well, that's when I left school. I've not been back. So
yeah. I got nowhere near graduating, so
there
still impressive to me.
There are people who are a little salty.
Yeah, the Brandeis German department does not miss me.
Yeah. But now I've even talked to like Shin about like and I'll touch on my like I've gone to therapy a few times in my life. And it could have just been like I just didn't have the right therapist or whatever the case is. And I honestly think that's part of it as well. Like
you do really need to find somebody that you can work with that you click with well.
Yes, and my currently is amazing. Like she's super intelligent. Like her therapy's great. Like she's also into like cool spiritual stuff that like even though I may not be in, I'm aware of. Like I've read about it. I've learned about it myself. Like it's been a running thing in each episode. Like I bring up the Bardos Tibetan Book of the Dead because it related so much to me. And I think honestly, if I explain it to you, it'd relate to you as well. Bardos.
I mean, if you're feeling up for it, go right ahead.
Yeah. Bardos, when you pass on, right, in the Tibetan book, you get a guide, and that guide takes you to each like these moments of your life that had a big impact. And if you've gotten past them, you'll go to the next level. And each level is a new big thing. And if you'll get to a point where, like, I can't remember, there's so many levels, but there are ones where if you didn't get past that thing, if you couldn't get past it, you'll reincarnate at that point back into a new body, but have that same issue. And if you get another chance at it. And if you can't do it, then when you pass on, you go through each event, and then you go back to that event again, and then reincarnate, and then you deal with it again. So
you keep going and going until you finally can overcome it, hopefully.
Yep. And it's
that's pretty cool.
It interested me because like in Tibet, like in this culture, they thought about people's like in a way they included mental health in their religion. And probably unknowing. I don't know if they did it knowingly or unknowingly. Whoever wrote the Tibetan the Book of the Dead, I don't know if they figured out a way just to help people get past their problems, or like, because when you read that stuff, if especially in cultures, you hold that dealer and you say, all right, then I need to, if I'm going to have an issue with people or doing things, like I need to work on myself to get past it, so that when I pass on, I'm not coming back to deal with it again. So I kind of like took that a little bit and said to myself, like, that's not a bad philosophy to have, regardless if I believe in reincarnation or not. I want to get past my issues so that if whatever happens, if I pass away,
so that I don't have to struggle with it more than I have to.
Yep. And it's kind of a cool little, like, I'll take that with me, fold it up, put it in my brain and leave it there because I kind of dig it.
No, I mean, it's a really interesting concept. I'm not a spiritual person myself, but like that is really genuinely interesting.
Yeah. And so it's pretty amazing that, like, so if I had to tell anybody who's listening, if you're currently going to therapy and you feel like your therapist isn't working for you, it's okay to break up with your therapist.
Yes. If your therapist is not working, if it becomes a fucking ordeal, please find another. Do yourself a favor.
Yeah,
because butting your head against somebody whose therapeutic style is not conducive to your mental health is not going to help you. It's not going to help them. It's not going to help your wallet.
Mm-mm.
It suck.
And I know about that.
And like, this is from personal experience because I've been in and out of therapy since I was 6-7 years old.
Yeah.
So good 2 decades there.
Yeah, recently when I went back to therapy, she started seeing me twice a week and she told me like, that's going to be expensive. Let's just go once a week. And I told her, like, I looked at her, I'm like, I need to get over this, and I'm going to work at it, and I want you to work with me. And I understand that it's going to be costly, but I said, what's important to me right now is me getting better and becoming better. And she said, okay. She's like, if that's what you want. I said, I truly want that. And she's been super, super kind and super patient. And I've had, like, she's across from me, like where I live, she's right across the street. But then she'll be like, hey, listen, I'm not gonna be at the office today, but you can come to my house and have a session at my house. And sure enough, showed up at her house, had a session at her house, no questions asked. And
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she's super, and she's like, if we didn't have these sessions, I'd still enjoy talking to you as a person. She's like, you're very interesting and very smart, and she's like, I think you have great potential. And she's like, and she went after my, like I said, after my dad, she said, she's like, I'm so proud of you. She's like, because now the world opens up, and now we can start, pushing you towards the light. And
I mean, at the risk of getting too feelsy, like, I'm not even remotely involved in this, and I'm fucking proud of you too, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like, and
yeah, sorry, that was a little weird, but like, no, I mean it.
No,
you done good.
Thank you. No, it's okay. This is why these episodes exist. They can get weird. So, it's
yeah. How do you, if I can ask, how do you start doing these anyway?
Why did I start the miniseries, or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I was telling my friend like what was going on. And she said, she's like, well, it's cool you're doing all this. And she's like, would you ever, like, she's like, when Maelstrom Radio comes back, would you tell your story, like, on the first episode, like, just to tell your story? And it kind of like became a thought in my head. It's like, we've talked about mental health on the show before. We never shied away from it. But then I thought about, what if I shared my story and then asked if others wanted to share their stories as well? And there's a few people I touched base with, like Sarah and Paul Metal from, Sarah from Phoenixdown Radio and Paul Metal from Moog Around. Oh. And I was like, they were the first two I touched base with. And then Dylan, my producer Dylan, she told her and Emmy from Musecast sat down, and Dylan shared her story with Emmy. So, and like, so there's this whole episode where I have no involvement in, I have no discussion in, like, it's truly just two people who talked, like, much like you and I, and that story I haven't even heard yet. Like, I have to edit it, and I'm going to listen to it, and I'm excited. Wow. Because that's a whole different aspect, and that's one episode where I had no involvement. So for me, this has been cathartic, very humbling. Like, when I posted it in the other Discord we were in, like, I was staggered that you and Wanderer stepped up and said, hey, listen, if you need more people, by all means. And it went from being like a 3-episode thing to now it's a 7-episode thing. And I had
glad I could help.
someone from Balmung, who's on my Mount Farm group, was like, hey, if you need somebody, I want to step up. And then other people have just stepped in and said, hey, listen, I'm really proud that you're doing this. Wanderer told me I was an inspiration. Like, and I
have to agree with him then. No, seriously.
I want this. I don't care if 3 people listen to this. Like, I've never cared about our numbers. If 3 people listen to this and one person out of those 3,
you want it out there and you want it done.
Yeah, and if one person walks away and says, I'm going to go get the help I need, and even if they connect with my story, Sarah's story, Paul's story, Wanderer's story, it doesn't matter whose story they connect with. If they walk away and say, I'm going to make that phone call, I'm going to tell my family, I need to go get the help I need to get.
Something sparks it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the reason why it's called Decade of Darkness is because it's been 10 years. And it's been over a little, but I'm not going to, like, do math in a title, so I just named it Decade of Darkness.
Yeah.
And I don't
decades in my case, but yeah.
And I never want anybody to... I would never want anybody to have to sit down for 10 years or more and deal what you and I had to deal with, because
I wouldn't wish this on anybody. No,
it's hard. Yeah, like not even on my enemy. Like I don't even have any enemies, but if I did, I wouldn't wish it on them either. So
yeah, same. It's like there are just some things you don't inflict on people or even want to inflict on people because they're just so fucking awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Truly are. They truly
Definitely.
are. All right. Well, we're coming up on that time where I try to keep these around that 45-minute mark. So, is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Just that in the event that anybody listens to this and realizes, oh, shit, I'm not completely broken. There's something legitimately here that I might have to deal with. That, we've helped put a face on somebody's struggles that they haven't identified yet or haven't been aware that they're there. I don't know. If that happens, I'm glad that we helped with it, that I could also contribute to that. Because, there have been times when I definitely needed a wake-up call that I was not just an asshole and that there was something there. I don't know. I can't really think of anything else to say about that. Just, if we help somebody, I'll consider that a huge fucking success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arsene, I want to thank you.
Really it.
Honestly, I really.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's and I'm glad to see that you're pushing forward, and it's all these.
I'm glad to see that you're doing the same.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do you? I mean, you're not. I know you're not a content creator, but do you want to plug anything?
No. I mean, I haven't written a goddamn thing in years, so I have nothing to plug. But
all right,
it's just thank you for letting me be here.
Of course. Of course, you can find us at maelstromradio.com. You can email us at show@maelstromradio.com. If you want to chat with us, send us an email. And also our DMs are open on Twitter at maelstrom_radio. Don't shy away. If you need someone as a sounding board, please reach out to us. We will talk to you. We will help you, any way that we can. We're not professionals, but if you need to find resources, we can help you out with that.
Please do. They will.
Yeah.
You're not irredeemable. Please just reach out to somebody if you need it.
Yeah. Thank you all, and have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Here With Me. Please stay tuned for more episodes in the series.